Welcome to Designed for the Creative Mind, a podcast for interior designers and creative entrepreneurs to run their business with purpose, efficiency, and passion. Because while every design is different, the process should remain the same. Prepare yourself for some good conversations with amazing guests, a dash of Jesus, and a touch of the woo-woo, and probably a swear word or two. If you're ready to stop trading your time for money and enjoy your interior design business, you are in the right place. I'm your host, Michelle Lynn. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. I am so excited that you're here today because I want to introduce you to Ginger Curtis. You might recognize her name, and if you don't recognize the name, then I'm sure you recognize her style. She is the owner and principal designer of Urbanology Designs. She is based out of the Dallas-Fort Worth area, but she is across the country with her clients. And she has also recently released a gorgeous book. It's called Beauty by Design. And if you haven't purchased it, run over to Amazon and get it, because that's what we're going to talk about today. And it's well worth every single penny and more. So welcome, Ginger.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
I'm so glad you're here. And I know our listeners are going to be super stoked too. So let's just start off with your book. What is Beauty by Design? What is the concept behind it?
Yeah, so it's actually a very unlikely sort of design coffee table book. It definitely is that. It's a field guide. It's got gorgeous inspiration. It shares projects and how-tos and resources. But what makes it unique is it also shares my story, a little bit of, how I got started and some of the trials. It's really easy to look at a brand or an entrepreneur or a girl and just think, oh gosh, wow, she's got it all together and all figured out. But you don't always see the hard-fought battles behind that story. And so Beauty by Design definitely takes a unique approach because it shares some of those hard-fought battles and victories and overcoming the challenges, just kind of the roller coaster of life, and especially in the design world.
And I love that because you opened it, the very first chapter, and I have it right here. So if you guys hear me flipping through pages, I bought this on pre-order when I saw on Instagram. But your introduction is a new beauty emerges. And then you also talk about you're worthy of beauty. And I just thought that was such a kick-ass way to start off, because as women, as business people, as moms, as sisters, friends, wives, everything, sometimes that's such a struggle, is the worthiness. And you acknowledge that. And then this book also gives them the ability to not just recognize their worthiness, but the capability with all of the nuggets of information you give in here, like everything from, the different types of tile to how to calculate what sort of light you need in a room. That was just such an inspiration. And the book itself is not just a pretty coffee table book.
It's so much deeper than that, which is kind of the surprise behind it. And it just, just gives you this frame of reference that I think is a little bit unique. And just that voice, you said it a minute ago, but that we are worthy of beauty. And in fact, like, we need it, we require it. And it's not something that we're always completely in tune with. And it's so essential to charge our batteries. It's so essential to be inspired. And we forget that sometimes we need to lean in that really intentionally and give ourselves permission to be very intentional about our environments for ourselves and for our families.
Yeah. And as designers, that's what we do for our clients. But we take so much of it for granted because it's something that comes naturally. And that's one of the things that I teach or mentor a lot of people, is that you're not just creating a beautiful room, you're creating a space for people to begin and end their day, where they wake up and they feel nurtured. They come home and they feel protected. And it's more than just a pretty space. And you said it here, it's by design. And it changes your insides, not just your outer living areas.
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt. I think, being in the design industry, and you would agree that we have ability to tune into that concept relatively easy. To us, I think so many times it's just kind of a no-brainer. But I don't always think that's the case for the average woman or man, or that is something that isn't just fluffy or frou-filly or or trendy or fun to do, but that it's actually essential to our well-being. And what if we're facing a difficult time, like a trauma in our life, which is what I went through, and my home just became such a sanctuary and a safe place to heal because I had laid some foundations out, not knowing what I was going to walk through. But man, it made such a difference to have a home that really was pivotal in like my wellness journey, and my daughters as well. We both fought some back-to-back battles.
Well, that, and it doesn't have to be, a super high-end luxury multi-million-dollar space. Your place can nurture you anywhere. So I think
mine's not. Mine's not a super high-end luxury multi-million. It's beautiful, and I have some massive splurges, but I also have some massive, thrift find treasures. But yeah, just a little bit of elbow grease, creativity, ingenuity, pausing to formulate your thoughts, what it is that you're trying to create, what mood you want to evoke, what feeling you want your home to represent, and then creating a plan. I think that's the number one thing people will just get. I'm guilty. Like I'm such an activator. I'm just ready to jump in and build the ship at sea. And then my husband's standing on the shore with like all the plans and the roadmap, like freaking out because I'm not looking at any of it. But really, it's so crucial that we look at it holistically. What is our end goal for our homes, right?
I love that. And I think it's because I'm guilty of it as well. It's like, oh, I love that. Oh, I love that. Oh, I love that. And then it all comes together and it doesn't always look polished. But your book does a really good job of explaining the process of design. What inspired you to write it? What inspired you to write Beauty by Design?
I think just to the awareness for the just massive impact and need that we have in our lives for the intentionality of beauty. And this book all happened pre-COVID, and it launched during COVID, but never, like, the timing could not have been more perfect because we've all been in our homes for such a long time and sort of realizing like, wow, and making some connections for the first time that there's some things that could be done and improved and really enhance the quality of your life. And so it's to me, in my heart, it is an absolutely worthy message. It's a message that I feel like needs to resonate with us at every level so that we give ourselves permission to lean into beauty.
And how long, just out of curiosity, how long did it take you to write?
2 years.
2 years. A lot of blood, sweat, and tears, huh?
I mean, I've faced some challenges in my life. I really have. And writing the book was one of the hardest things I have ever done. It forced me to look at some things and to face some things and explain things. And one of the challenges was it's just in me. I breathe it, I walk it, I sleep it. Like, the things that are in me are so natural to me. And then to pause and to say, whoa, like, take it out of my brain and put it on this pretty platter and like dish it up in a way that's understandable and well communicated. Like, wow, holy mackerel. That was a challenge that I underestimated and, pulled it off successfully. But man, it was fraught with late nights, tears, triumphs. I mean, everything is, mixed into that book.
That makes so much sense because, well, if y'all don't follow Ginger on the Instagram, you need to, because what she just said, she's so very humble. It is completely inside you, but everything you touch is stunning. Like, I was watching one of your stories, I don't know when it was, but I'm about to redo my kitchen and my pantry and all of that sort of jazz. And I was like, oh, Ginger's pantry. I got to peek into it. And it was so pretty. It is. I can imagine that, so many people in our audience just naturally bring beauty to the space, but you also bring such beauty from inside. Like, we've met in person one time, and I just felt this lovely connection to you because we were talking about you had started your business because the Lord had led you to. And I was like, oh my gosh, the Lord led me to adopt my child. And it's just like, when you get those messages, you just can't not do it, and here I am 50 something years old with a toddler, it's like, I didn't think I could do this. And holy cow, she's like a three-nager. But everything you do just comes from the heart, and your book feels like it as well. So
thank you. That's a huge compliment. And I think that if life is worthy of living, which it is, we
Mm-hmm.
should live it so intentionally. And life is just incredibly precious and it's short, and I don't want to waste any moments in my life. And even if it's as simple as a beautiful pantry, I'm sorry, but I want to open the doors of my pantry and I
Mm-hmm.
want to just smile. Is that okay? Can I just smile when I open my pantry? It is okay. And life
Mm-hmm.
is so short. And, I want my kids to be able to walk in their rooms and it just inspires their little imaginations. And I want that for other people too. I want them to have this awareness that it's okay. And it's actually quite impactful. And I know that because I live it and breathe it every day. And I really work hard to not take that for granted because I could, because some of these things come naturally to me, but man, I really try to slow down and, look at what God has given me, what I've been blessed with, my calling in life and my ability to be a leader and to help usher this into the homes of other people. And I think it absolutely has to come from my heart. Like, I'm not interested if it doesn't,
Yeah, it definitely shows.
Let me interrupt myself to take a quick moment to thank Satinoff Insurance Agency for sponsoring this episode of the Designed for the Creative Mind podcast. Their support and understanding of the interior design, decorating, and home staging industries is unrivaled. Satinoff understands what our businesses do, and they provide insurance that lets me sleep at night. Yep, this is the firm that I use, and they will do the same for your sleep habits and your business too. They're more than an insurance agency, they're an extension of my business. They take care of the worry because they are the experts, which allows me and my team breathing room to do what we do best, design beautiful spaces. You can find their contact information below in the show notes. Give them a call today.
When you were writing the book, because you're running this amazing business, you have a venue, you have a family, like what do you hope the readers take away from this book? Because you're busy and this is something that you were very intentional about creating.
Yeah, I think, it really goes back to the opening line that you read, and it's that you are worthy. You were so worthy. And the book is such a field guide full of tools and inspiration and overcoming challenges. And I think that if you can read that book and feel inspired and feel confident, well, gosh, that is a huge win. And I really hope that you do.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that no matter what your style is, because Ginger has a very specific style, Urbanology is just something off the charts beautiful. But even if you are like uber modern or super traditional, or even if you don't have a style, I think you're right. It is a field guide and it's very helpful. Or heck, even if you're a blossoming interior designer, like go learn from one of the best and get the book and just soak up the information. And no, I don't get any kickbacks for encouraging you by the book, but it's just really that good. And for those of you who know me and follow me, I just not want to just send smoke up somebody's booty. It's just a beautiful, beautiful book. And I think that a lot of people will really appreciate it because honestly, when I bought it, I thought it was just going to be full of pretty pictures, like so many other coffee table books. And this is what this is, and this is what this is. And then you opened it and it was we keep saying it, but it was from the heart. And there's your personal story in it, which has, nobody has a perfect background. Like we've all gone through shit. And sometimes it sucks and you come out from the other side and you're stronger. You have to learn where the lesson comes from and turn around, and nothing happens to you. It happens for you. And I think that you've done a really nice job, opening your struggles to your audience and bringing people to understand that it's not all the highlight reels that so many people show on the gram or just in general. Like we're people.
It's so beautiful that you said that. It actually means a tremendous amount to me. I have this insatiable need, this insatiable desire for authenticity, and I need to give it and I want to receive it. And my goal is that the more that I give it and the more that I put myself out there and I share the highs and I share the lows and the vulnerability of my life. And I've faced these massive, horrific challenges and the waves of life have pounded, but walking out of those circumstances and understanding some really valuable truths has changed my life for forever. I feel like this girl, this woman, at this rough, pebbly stone. and the waves of life have come, and it's just been just hurled and tossed and to and fro. But with every passing wave and with every crashing storm, that rough and rugged, jagged stone has just been smoothed and edges have been refined. And it doesn't mean I have a magic bullet, but it means it's given me wisdom and grace and fortitude and strength and a perspective for life to approach challenges in a way that instead just like drains my batteries and sucks the life out of me. It's actually very life-giving because I can draw from the situations and those past storms, and my hope is one day that I will be smooth like a beautiful skipping stone and I will just glide across those waters. And again, I'm not going to cease facing challenges. I have a million children, for crying out loud. Like I'm for sure going to face challenges in my life, right?
Yes.
But it's my perspective, right? The problem is never the problem itself. It's always our response to the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And that is something that's been just really freeing and powerful for me to learn over the years.
Well, and I think that it is such a great lesson for everybody to understand is that we all have problems, and it's going to depend on, like you said, how do you respond to them? Because life without problems would be pretty boring because it would just be flat. And you have to go through the valleys in order to really appreciate the views from the peaks. Mm-hmm. And I think you had said something earlier is that life is too short. And we recently had a family member who passed unexpectedly. And it just reminds you to tell everybody that you love them, to really appreciate them, and to really just savor the moment wherever you are. And like your book, it's by design. And I think that your life is by design, but beauty is very intentional. And it could be your outlook, it could be your room, it could be your outfit, or whatever the case may be. God is the author, and you are the one who translates it.
Well, that is actually something it's a very powerful statement that you just said, because, if we're created in the image of God and he is the author and the perfecter of beauty and creativity, well, what does that mean for us? Well, if we're created in his image, we have a natural longing, desire, pull, and need to seek after that, to enjoy that for our lives, to invoke that feeling for ourselves and for others. It's powerful, but we don't always look at it from that perspective.
Because we're stuck in the mire of it, whether it's business or children or health issues or things along that line. So I think that this book will bring an inspiration to so many people, and they'll also get to know you a little bit differently than just from social media and so forth, because that is amazing. Like, I don't know how you keep up with social media. You're on stories so often and everybody gets to know you. It's lovely. But I think that it does feed into other people. So from an outside person looking in, I can tell you, Ginger, that what you do matters. It's just, It's lovely to watch. So congratulations. Gosh. This success and your book and everything is just so well-deserved.
Thank you. Well-deserved. What a genuine, heartfelt compliment. Like, you just made my day. That's incredibly generous. Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh. Absolutely. Absolutely. If we were a little closer, I would just reach up and give you a big old hug right now. Aww. So, well, then let's talk a little bit about how did it start and how has it grown? And what are some of the lessons that you've brought as that entrepreneur?
Yeah. Well, it's one of my favorite stories because it's very unlikely path that I took to design. It all started one night at Life Group. My husband and I lead a family group on Tuesday nights. And I was just finishing chemo. My hair was just barely starting to grow back. I was just in the phase of getting a little bit like new levels of energy. And I was super excited. I was really ready to tackle the world. My husband was just cautioning me at every moment, like, Ginger, he said, you will start something just for the sake of starting something. He goes, just hold on a minute and wait and let the Lord speak to you. And he's a wise man. He's such a wise man. He's just a doll. And he was exactly right. And that night at Life Group, we were going around and we were sharing an icebreaker if you could do anything. And, everybody went around. It was ballerina, race car driver, astronaut, like all the dreams of our childhood. And it really had just shocked me in that moment that I had really never actually asked myself that question. And I struggled with that. I was like, why am I a grown-up girl? And I have never asked myself that question. And it just wasn't the season. Like I just was in a lot of seasons of battling and surviving a lot of things, but I was now coming into this new season. And for the first time I spoke, I said I would design. And I wouldn't just design, but I would have this team of the most amazing, incredible, talented women. I would do this, this, this. And I just blurted it out into existence in specific detail. Less than a year later, I was running an interior design firm called Urbanology Designs. And I hired 3 people, and I, had an expediter and interior designer, and we've just grown. That's the baby nutshell version. My husband comes home from work one day and he says, "Oh, hey babe, what'd you do today?" And I said, "I started an LLC." And he said, "For what?" And, so during that season, I really struggled feeling super unqualified. I had never run a business to that level. I felt like a little girl walking around in her mommy's stilettos, like just wobbly and shaky, just very insecure. And I'll never forget.
Wait, I want to pause right there, because I talk to so many interior designers that I want to say to the audience, listen, you're not the only person who ever feels like an imposter. Like Ginger just said that she felt like a kid running around in her mom's shoes. Yes, I feel like an imposter often. It's just, thank you for sharing that, because I think that there's so many people who think that we've got our shizzle together.
Yeah, I felt incredibly unqualified. And I just remember thinking, what are you doing? You're not even qualified. Like, who are you fooling? And I'll never forget this. I just felt this like this impression on my heart from the Lord. And he said, "Ginger, what if I've qualified you?" And I'm just drop the mic. It's like, that was enough for me. It didn't take away my fears. It didn't take away the nausea, freaking out when hard times hit, because they definitely did. And I had to learn a lot of lessons the hard way. And I felt super alone. My number one prayer for those first few years, I was like, God, bring me one friend, bring me one person who understands this world, this crazy, interior design is just, there's so many amazing, beautiful, and difficult facets. And then you're running a business on top of that. And so, and he did that. He brought me lots of incredible friends and an amazing community. The design community is incredible. But I struggled, and it was, I felt like he told me that in confidence. I treasured that in my little heart. And then I felt like there was another word that came to me, and it was that no good thing will come out of your comfort zone. And I just thought, well, who thinks I've been in my comfort zone for any time of and I just felt like this strong impression that I was capable of so much more, and that I had set the bar of my life low because I wasn't willing to fail at anything that I attempted. And so I set the bar. Look, maybe I look like an overachiever to the world or everybody else looking in, but between me and him, he knew that I was capable of more. And it was like, it's time to move. It's time to get uncomfortable. And that scared the ever loving tar out of me. But, and it was true. It was very uncomfortable. It still is.
Yeah. That I understand. It's like, raise your standards. Like, you get to a certain spot and you get comfortable and you have to raise your standards. I had, sent something to my favorite bonus son the other day, and a friend of mine, it says, we don't want to abandon our identities, so we abandon our futures instead. And I think that when we have that identity of who we are and what we can accomplish, we stay there because it's comfortable, and you abandon the future that you have pushed through and continue to create for yourself, because you got out of that space that we limit ourselves to. So,
and so much of it all comes back to fear. And this is probably one of the most powerful nuggets of my story and my testimony. Something I'm really passionate about sharing, is because I think so many people don't take that first step or the next step. But sometimes the next step feels like the first step, and it's really scary. And I've been there, and I continue to be there. I didn't make that decision once and it was like, okay, good. Like, it's all gonna, you know what I mean? I've made that one hard decision. It continues to happen. And that's okay, because it forces us to grow and we become better. I'm going to tell you what, way back when I first started my design firm, I found this print on Etsy, and it was a quote, and it said, "Oh, but what if I fall?" And then underneath it, it said, "Oh, but my darling, what if you fly?" I went to Staples and I printed that quote as big as their machine would print it. And I've put it in just some like a random frame. And I literally put it by my bedside. It wasn't to scale. It looked horrible. It was just whatever. But I literally needed to be reminded every single day that there was the possibility of of succeeding and not falling flat on my face or getting back up after I fell flat on my face, and I think we need to share that, because that vulnerability and that truth that fear is real and it's stifling and it can stop us dead in our tracks is real. And if we talk about it, we can overcome together.
I think talk about it and give ourselves permission, because we're so hard on ourselves. Like, perfection is just perception. So get over it and do it. Done is better than perfect sometimes. And then you can go back and you can adjust it. You go back and you can tweak it. You can say, okay, actually that 1 millimeter difference is not as big of a deal as I thought it was. So I think it is so true. And it's funny that you had that quote, because I have a favorite poem, and it's like, I can't, Guillaume, I think is who it's from. And it's like, come to the edge. No, we can't come to the edge. No, we can't come to the edge. No, we can't come to the edge. Well, what if I fall? And then it's like, come to the edge. What if you fly? And it's just like that tension back and forth. And I think that's like our voice in our head. So, and I think having the balls to say that gives other women the ability to accept that they don't have to be perfect. And I think that's just such a key message, is that,
please don't be perfect, because you never can be, you never will be. And perfection is totally boring anyway. I think like the massive creativity lies in the unimperfect and embracing the uniqueness of who we are, of our abilities, our skills, what we can offer. I think perfectionism is legalism, and it absolutely squelches creativity. And so that's another little note that I get all excited about, is, breaking away from perfectionism. That's where real growth lies.
Yes. Taking imperfect but massive action.
Oh, I like that. Imperfect but massive action. Massive action. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
The big stuff.
Y'all, this podcast episode was made possible in part by Foyer, a lightning fast interior design software that creates photorealistic renderings. I'm not kidding. You can barely tell that it's not a real room. So why leave your beautiful designs up to the imagination of your client when you can show them what their space is going to look like? You will sign more clients and get more approvals with this software. It's powered by artificial intelligence, and I'll vouch for its ease, because if I can do it, anybody can, because y'all know that my design team are the ones who do all the work. Find them in the show notes.
Well, speaking of fun, so I love talking about all things business and about empowering women and just all of that sort of jazz. But in order to get to know you just a little bit better and the audience, I have this rapid fire Q&A format. And nothing's off the table. So just tell me the first thing that comes to your mind. Okay. Are you ready?
Okay. Yes.
Okay. And we're going to start off easy. Coffee or tea?
Tea.
How many siblings do you have?
6.
Holy moly. Favorite ice cream flavor?
Cookies and cream.
Beach or mountains?
Ugh, both.
That sounds good. When was the last time that you laughed so hard you almost peed yourself?
Probably when I snuck up on my 8-year-old son doing the dishes and scared the ever bejeebers out of him. And I'm neither mean or wrong, but I laughed so hard. I was like, had tears in my eyes.
That's always fun. What is your favorite book?
My favorite book. Well, gosh, it's like, could we narrow it down to a category? Because no, I'm just kidding. I'm just going to go the business route here. I think the Bible is my favorite book, hands down. If I was straight on a desert island, I would want my Bible for sure. But from a practical business standpoint, there's an amazing book called Rocket Fuel, and it like actually changed my life. So that's a super good one.
There we go. So when you guys get on Amazon to order Beauty by Design, you should also get Rocket Fuel. And if you don't have it, grab the Bible.
Because that is your rocket fuel.
That is your rocket fuel. In fact, going a little bit off subject, I just started reading from a referral. Anyway, the Bible in chronological order. And holy moly, what a different perspective.
Yeah.
Because I had no idea some of the ins and outs of it. So it's been very interesting. Okay, back to rapid fire. When was the last time you took a nap?
Well, I had surgery and I'm recovering. I had a double mastectomy years ago from cancer. And then it's just been years of sort of complications from that. So I finally faced up and did the brave thing. And I went back and had surgery to fix it. It's a whole story, you guys. But it's been like a massive challenge for me. So I'm super proud that I've done it. But to answer your question, yesterday, because I've been in bed quite a bit recovering.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you for being here. I didn't realize that you had just come out of surgery. Good. I'm so excited to hear that you made that leap. And
I did. It's just really unusual. I wouldn't say unusual, but when you face a mastectomy and you go through reconstruction, it's very different than breast augmentation. And there can be complications. And I pretty much had every complication that could exist. And it was just, I kept telling myself it wasn't important. And so for 7 years, 8 years, I just hid from myself in the reality of something that was really like emotionally and physically scarring. And I faced up to it and I did the hard thing. So it's actually like a big, huge kind of like little feat for me in my life right now. So
that's exciting. I'm glad that you did something good for yourself.
Thank you. I'm
so easy to do for everybody else. Yeah.
And me too.
Setting a good example for the family, kids.
Yeah.
That's a whole different perspective when you have to have other people watching what you're doing. Okay. So if you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Oh, I definitely wouldn't want to be able to read people's minds. That's like too much. I would just fall over all the time. I have to go back to being a little girl, and there was always one superpower above the rest that I would literally envision myself doing it. And it was flying. Like I would just fly into the clouds and fly across telephone poles, and I would fly.
That would be fun. That would be super fun. What's your favorite color?
Green.
Last movie you watched?
Diary of a Wimpy Kid with my kids and my husband last night.
Oh, fun.
They made a movie. Yeah.
That's a book, right?
Yes. Yes. My kids love that series. And so they made a movie and we watched it. And yep.
That's red or white wine?
Red.
Sure. And if you could have dinner with anybody, who's one person that you would invite?
Well, I would have dinner with my sister, Laura. She's not here. She passed away years ago and left behind a 6-year-old little boy who is now my oldest son. I adopted him when he was 6. He's about to be 22. And to have a conversation with her and to sit down with her would just be a dream. So I would choose my sister, Laura.
I love that. I absolutely love that. Such a sweetheart. And Ginger, thank you so much for being here. I mean, this has been such a lovely conversation. Just everything about your book is phenomenal. Urbanology has just been such a blessing to so many people, and you continue to do it with these pages. So
thank you.
How can our audience connect with you?
Well, you did such a great job earlier. You need to be on my payroll for promotion for Instagram. I love IG. I didn't start off that way. I started off like a lot of, entrepreneurs kicking and screaming and, and then, what are these stories that I have to do? And man, I just really struggled. And now I love it. I love to share on Instagram. And so it's just a great snapshot of our brand and behind the scenes and just my little wild, wild west of a world. Urbanology Designs on Instagram, and then our website is a great place to connect. In both places, you can get information about Beauty by Design, my new design book.
So do you have a link on your website to buy the book?
Yes. On the homepage, I believe there is a link. You can go right there, and it's available on Amazon. So
yeah. And also I'm going to do a shameless plug. Ginger will be at the Interior Design Business Success Summit in November. And Ginger, I don't think I've mentioned this to you, but I'm going to buy books for everybody as a gift. So you'll get to do a little book signing and so forth. We'll connect with some more detail, but yeah, everybody who's there, if you're listening, the surprise is ruined, but we'll have that there. So make sure that you guys check that out. And also for those of you who can benefit from more resources surrounding the business of running your interior design business, join my growing community on Facebook's private group. It's called the Interior Designers Business Launchpad. And don't forget to leave a review anywhere you're catching this podcast. So thank you again, Ginger. It has been such a pleasure.
Well, it's an honor to be invited. Thank you so much.
Hey, y'all. If you love the show and find it useful, I would really appreciate it if you would share with your friends and followers. And if you like what you're hearing, want to put a face with a name, and get even more business advice, then join me in my Facebook group, the Interior Designers Business Launchpad. Yeah, I know, it's Facebook. But just come on in for the training and then leave without scrolling your feed. It's fun, I promise you'll enjoy it. And finally, I hear it's good for business to get ratings on your podcasts. So please drop yours on whatever platform you use to listen to this. We're all about community over competition. So let's work on elevating our industry one designer at a time. See you next time.